is a beautiful question based upon Maharishi's comment of 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, in Maharishi's answer about how yogic flying creates bliss, Maharishi described the experience of a man living in freedom beyond boundaries. Maharishi said, one sees far beyond what the eyes can see. One hears far beyond what the ears can hear. One goes beyond boundaries. One goes into freedom. Would Maharishi please elaborate on this beautiful description of freedom and explain the mechanics by which one can perceive beyond the organs of perception? How can one see beyond the eyes?
There is a word, think. There is a word, imagine. In imagination, one can imagine anything, see far beyond. And there are techniques on the way to total enlightenment. This is the technique of, we call it the Siddhi programs, where one goes from thinking level to final levels of thought, one goes to the source of thought, and one goes at the basis of thought, to the source of thought. And there is the unmanifest field of intelligence. And the unmanifest field of intelligence is, you can have a concept of it, you can conceive, is the unified field where all the diversity stands in a unified state. And there is the field of all possibilities. There is freedom from bondage. There is no space-time boundaries. That's why it is called transcendental field of the self-referral consciousness. And Dr. Hagelin calls it unified field. This unified field is an experience. It's an experience. It's an experience means it's a reality. And in that reality, one sees, which one doesn't see with the eyes. One hears, which one doesn't hear from the ears. All the five senses of perception, seeing and touching and tasting and all that, and all the five organs of speech, they are awake to their extreme level of simplicity, where there is nothing else but all the five senses equally awake. Where there is nothing else but all the five organs of action fully awake. Total silence fully awake. Total dynamism fully awake. So it's a field of reality. It's a field of reality where one can see what one cannot see with the eyes. One can hear what one can't hear from the ears. This is perception in the transcendental field of consciousness. This we can experience. And this is so beautifully described, authenticated by knowledge in the Rig Veda and Sam, Yajur, Atharvaveda, the whole Vedic literature. Just that level of that level of life, which is a world of transcendental consciousness. It's a world on its own. It's a very soft world. It's a very soft world. It's a world of transcendental field. It's a unified field. There is no diversity in it. But a very real world which the eyes cannot see. Those eyes are the inner eye, we say, the inner hearing, the inner taste, some call it divine seeing, some call it divine hearing, divine tasting, divine touch. It's a world on its own. The example is, you are in a dreaming state. Now you see something which you don't see from your eyes. You are sleeping and you are seeing some very beautiful garden, some very beautiful roses, very beautiful trees, and there is nothing. So something that is not there, you don't see with your eyes, but you can have that level of consciousness where a different world you can see, a different world you can hear, a different world you can touch. So it is described in the religious literature, divine touch, divine hearing, divine tasting, divine, all in terms of the light of God, light of God. So it's a great loss to life when one is not trained to see beyond eyes. It's a great loss to life when one is not trained to hear beyond ears. It's a different world. That's why this proverb goes very easily. Your world is as you are. In as much dreaming state you are, you have that world. In as much drowsy state you are, you have a world of that level. In as much awake you are, you have a world of that level. So the world is as one is. That is the reason it's taking such a long time. Otherwise, when I started from India to go around the world, I thought it will take 10, 12 years and the world will be free from problems and negativity. Later on, I knew it's a different world. You say something and people hear and they nod their head and they smile at you, but you are not heard by them. So, in many places, when I went there repeatedly, this country, that country, I asked them, what made you meditate? They said, to be frank with you, when you spoke, we heard. We did not know what you were speaking. Then I said, how did you start? They said, we start thinking that you seem to be saying something nice. Not understanding. But intuitively they started, and when they started, they said, thank you very much, you are right in saying this. So you can tell the people, but what they understand can be completely different than what you are speaking. that is what is taking time to create a new world and a new tradition and perfection of government and all that, all that. It's a different, different world. But we have to keep on saying, because we enjoy talking about it. It's for our own joy that we talk about it. But what people understand is completely not dependent on what we are speaking. It depends on what they can understand.